I founded an organization called Ocean Quest Global in 2010, but I started work 40 years ago in 1981, right? So throughout that time, I have learned through difficult, right? I have learned through the time that people look at me doing something on the beach and laugh at me and walk away, right? They thought I'm doing something that was completely out of my mind, right? And then at that time, I was working on researching how to do an organic way of growing corals. Basically, if coral reef is dead, you need to grow corals just like the forest. If the forest is devastated, you need to plant trees, right? My idea was to create a more holistic way of coral reef restoration. What do I mean by that? I mean by taking consideration in terms of ethics, whereby if I want to use a certain material for ocean conservation, I have to consider where the source of this material coming from. At that time, already have many ocean conservation, and they are throwing concrete into the sea. Concrete is destructive. The production of concrete is already destroying a lot of environment up on land just to create habitat for us. Now we are throwing about the size of South Korea volume of concrete into the ocean in the name of ocean conservation that we didn't even know what implication that bring, right? So I don't agree with that destroying one environment to rehabilitate it. But along that journey, I also learned through difficulty. One of the difficulty, like Dr. Salamati was saying, funding, right? When I founded, finally, in 2010, when I founded Ocean Quest Global, we have a strict policy not to go into this rat race anymore. We did not go into grant application. We did not go into all this rat race anymore, where all the NGOs is trying to grab their hands on the grants and, but how do we do? Ocean Quest Global is a social enterprise. We do education program, we sell education, we sell book, we sell publication, we make it a business to support our conservation, right? So we are self-contained. People send me every day, people send me links to somebody is going to give grants. I just put it on the trash. In my trash bin. I was not, but people was, at that time when I started in 2010, they said, you will never be able to expand if you do something like this. In 2010, I started. 2012, we become Ocean Quest Asia from Ocean Quest Malaysia. And then 2013, 3 years after funding, we become a global organization with 74 locations around the world, right? With 0 cent coming from none of the government. We don't believe in that anymore. We don't believe in I don't want to enslave myself doing budgeting, doing all this application for funding, months in end, sleepless nights, that I don't even know if I'm going to get it, right? Instead, I go in the field and start working, and from the experience in the field, I start writing. From the writing, I create educational program, and then I expand it into a more holistic way, right? So because coral conservation is unique, there's not many publications, there's not many courses that people can attend to do it, especially to do it right. Because in ocean conservation, like land conservation, there are also abusive conservation agencies, right? That abuse, whether it is ethically abusive or funding or, there are many ways. For example, there are conservation agencies that promote artificial reef made of concrete and throw it in the ocean, make millions in end. They call it conservation, right? What kind of conservation when you have to destroy? You promote destruction of one part of the planet and to conserve the other. That doesn't make sense, right? Therefore, I research on organic way of growing back the reef instead, right? So by not joining that part, that group of people, we become a self-contained, self-driven organization that promotes a different way entirely, different philosophy, different concept, different funding, management, different ways. Ocean Quest Global, since funding until today, there is not single one employee, not even me is paid, basically. Every expert that we have, a geologist, a marine geologist, a marine biologist, marine chemists, experts that come to us and join us, they join it voluntarily and they contribute their expertise because they love the ocean, right? We grow because of passion. We did not grow because of we have a lot of money, right? At the end of each year, when the audits look at our account, it is balanced, zero in, zero out, right? When we do a funding campaign, for example, we said, okay, we have started a new location, for example, in Komodo, Indonesia. We need a boat, and the boat will cost $10,000. We will raise that $10,000, and then we also raise a little bit for the maintenance of it for the whole year, right? When we get to that objective, we will then start operating. We don't constantly throw our heads around asking for donation, right? And we don't spend 99% of that money to pay salaries like most big international NGOs does, right? So that scenario has to change. That big corporation, I can call them corporation instead. They are fund managers to me. They are not conservation. They spend very little on conservation.
Yeah.
Most of their money goes to managing